have great taste, especially with your radio choice. Thank you for spending a little time with Gary and Bristol on Kiss Country 93.7.
Ain't no love in Oklahoma. That's Luke Combs. Shreveport, Bossier's number one for new country. Kiss Country 93.7. It's Gary and Bristol. I don't know if you heard the news, but things got really tense at Keithville Elementary Middle yesterday. 2 students, 11 and 12 years old, charged with terrorizing. Apparently, they are alleged to have called in a report of an active shooter at the school yesterday. School was placed on lockdown after the call was made. Deputies responded, checked out the campus, determined that there was no threat. Detectives arrived on the scene, started their investigation, and then Detective Ray Saunders said the 2 students, who are obviously not going to be identified, they are the ones who made the call to 911. School lockdown lifted shortly after the campus was cleared. Dude, if you're one of those parents who all of a sudden get the news what's going on, and my heart bleeds for you. I can't imagine what would go through your mind when you get that report. And thankfully there was nothing to it, but in the world we live in now, I don't know what they plan to do with these 2 kids, but I would hope that it would be tone setting, if you will. Kiss Country 93.7 is Gary and Bristol. Hey, don't forget now, 7:15, we're playing ticket trivia. Going to give you a chance to win those tickets for the Ray Bossier Memorial Rodeo. Not this weekend, McCoy. Next weekend, next Friday and Saturday, September the 6th and 7th. And I don't know if you follow professional baseball, but I'm a big fan. And yesterday, something happened in the MLB that has never happened before. This was so cool. Danny Jansen became the first ever player to play for both teams in a single game. Now, here's what happened. The beginning of the game between his Toronto Blue Jays, that's who he was playing for then, and the Boston Red Sox, it got postponed due to rain on June 26th. Well, since then, Danny got traded to Boston. Well, they concluded the game yesterday. In fact, it was kind of crazy because he was the player at bat when the game got postponed. We got some commentary for you from when another batter continued Danny's old at-bat for Toronto, and then Danny at the plate for Boston.
And so we pick it up as a suspended game for game number 1. And now Danny Jansen, a month later, traded to the Boston Red Sox. And here he is behind the plate in a Red Sox uniform and ready to catch the rest of what was his at-bat. Tuning in for a bit of history here. Liner into center field, down for a base hit. So Jansen becomes the first man to get a knock today for the Red Sox. I guess that's fitting with the history he made earlier today. It's his day.
Isn't that crazy? He played for both teams in a single game. Either way, his team won.
Thanks for spending your morning with us. Gary and Bristol on Shreveport, Bossier's number 1 for new country. Kiss Country 93.7. They are to radio what Southern made is to donuts. It's Gary and Bristol on Kiss Country 93.7.
Kiss Country 93.7, Gary and Bristol. Getting ready for a rodeo. It's not this weekend. It's next weekend. Friday and Saturday, September the 6th and 7th. The Ray Bossier Memorial Rodeo. They're at the Willie Wagner Arena in Benton. We got tickets for both nights. 4-pack of tickets. You can take the whole fam.
Here's the thing, though. I think Labor Day snuck up on us because it doesn't feel like this is getting ready to be a 3-day weekend. That's just me.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you missed the answer to yesterday's ticket trivia question, here it is. Just over 90% of all of this year's college freshmen have never used one of these machines before. We had a lot of fun with it. It was an actual typewriter.
Okay, today's question. Doing this for about an hour will burn a whopping 11 calories. Makes you sweat just thinking about it, doesn't it? What is it? Doing this for about an hour will burn a whopping 11 calories. All you got to do is sniff a Hershey bar and you get those 11 back. What is it? 725-5477. Good for 4 tickets to the Ray Bossier Memorial Rodeo. 725-KISS. All right. That's Darius Rucker, Kiss Country 93.7, Gary and Bristol. Okay, this all started, I don't know if you saw the story yesterday. It was on the website, mykisscountry937.com and the Kiss Country app. But it started with a Facebook post by Cassie Nelson. And I want to say this was in the Lafayette area. At any rate, apparently, she shared her frustration after her first grader came home with 4 homework pages on the second day of school. She says he already doesn't get home from school until 4 p.m. Then he had to sit there for another hour plus to complete more work. Little boy looks up at her later and says, Mommy, when you were little, did you get distracted a lot too? Uh-huh. Well, apparently her post got thousands and thousands of shares, over 400 comments, and she says that homework, especially for younger children, is unnecessary. Robs them of special, precious family time and the chance to unwind after a long day at school. And,
Maybe you use that as family time, though.
That's not family time doing homework. Ugh. No.
It can be.
No, it can't. Unless you've made a game out of it at the supper table with the Skedios, the alphabet?
And the spelling words.
Yeah. No, I honestly think that when they're little like that, no. I do agree that as you get older, there's certain things that just can't be contained within that 8-hour day.
Right.
And somebody wrote on Facebook, I was mentioning this a little while ago, somebody wrote on Facebook, hey, look, you get them for 8 hours a day. I only get them for 4 hours a night. If you can't get to it during the day, we'll just get to it tomorrow. Well, the school years are already, have been shortened and shortened and shortened by the number of holiday breaks and things of that nature. And I don't know, homework's just kind of a part of school. It's a continued educational kind of a thing. But 4 pages for a first grader? Come on.
Well, I'll agree that's excessive. I think we need a much stronger emphasis on education in this country.
Yeah, I think that, that there are certain countries that, that have put more emphasis on it and they've seen the benefits of that. But, to what degree is too much?
Right.
Where do you draw the line?
Yeah, because, while that child seems to be getting 4 pages of homework, we're still graduating people that can't read.
Yeah.
Like, how does that happen?
Yeah. So what about you? Have you ever had a situation where the kids were just getting too much homework and you finally had to say something? It's like, come on, we got to talk here. And, was it a positive outcome for you? Did you get any resolution, or did they just look at you and say, sucks to be your kid?
Homework's due.
If you've had a situation like this, what did you do, and what was the situation? It was like, oh my God, he's in the 3rd grade and they had him reading a book every other day.
War and Peace.
7. I think I'm going to pass out. I remember that was senior English, I think. 725-5477, 725-KISS.
Saw the rising sun. Coffee in my cup. They put the good in morning. It's Gary and Bristol on Kiss Country 93.7.
That's Jordan Davis singles you up. Kiss Country 93.7. It's Gary and Bristol. Started off as a Facebook post in the Lafayette area. Cassie Nelson posted that her first grader on the second day of school had 4 pages of homework. Post has been shared over 6,000 times, grabbed nearly 400 comments. And she says he already doesn't get home from school until after 4 p.m. and then he's got to sit still for another hour plus to complete more work. She's arguing that homework, especially for younger children, is unnecessary, robs them of precious family time and the chance to unwind after a long day of school. And is she being a Karen?
A little.
A first grader having any homework? I disagree with that.
4 pages, especially.
I do believe that there comes a point where the expectation of taking that education and back home and working on that there. I don't know. We never went through that with my boys. Either they just didn't do it, or they weren't assigned it, but we never saw that they had too much homework.
I don't remember having to bring home my stuff and get it signed off on every day either. And I see that seems to be what we're going to. So parents are made aware of what's going on in the classroom. Brandy just messaged. She says, my kid has ADHD and his meds wear off, so homework for my youngest is a struggle. My oldest had so much homework from AP classes that he'd be up until 11 o'clock some nights after his varsity baseball games.
Wow. Well, that's in high school.
Right. And that is AP. And AP classes are going to have more of, I guess, an ask, if you will.
There's a higher expectation of their performance. And, and I think that once you get into the high school years, there's just an assumption that there's going to be homework. But when they're little bitty, have you ever had a situation where your kids had too much homework? And if you did, what'd you do about it?
So I think that it is absolutely quality over quantity.
Okay, explain.
Quality of education. Just because you're doing more doesn't mean you're learning more. And sometimes these poor kids are so overwhelmed that they can't even think straight. Just because you're doing more doesn't mean you're learning more.
Yeah.
It's about the quality of education that you're getting.
Do you think that there is some point, some age where the expectation of a little more homework should come into to play?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you get to middle school, there's going to be a little more, but it should be less than an hour a day for sure. I mean, kids need to have some time with their family and spend some time outside.
I think this is the man's way of grooming us to when we're older, we do 3 more hours of work at the house. And we just expect it, and we like it. And we know it's our lot in life.
Oh, not this mama.
Making life better one morning at a time. It's Gary and Bristol on Kiss Country 93.7.
Shreveport Bossier's number one for new country. Kiss Country 93.7, Gary and Bristol, and homework.
The debate rages.
Have you done your homework?
I think there's a middle ground here.
Okay, it starts with a first grader on the second day of school getting 4 pages of homework, and mom goes on Facebook and she says, whoa, wait a minute.
This is a little excessive, and I'll agree.
There's a lot of people that were in support of her, and other people were like, come on, Karen. This is where we are as a society.
It was a crossword puzzle. Get over yourself, right? But no, even though homework is a little more like play at that age, I mean, do kids need a press release on that as well?
Yeah.
For sure.
That's summer.
Yeah, but we're not working 24/7 when we're in school.
No, you're exactly right. And I'm making light of this only because I do understand and can sympathize with her pain with a first grader. But I do think that as kids get older, there is an expectation of increased performance. Absolutely.
And I never learned how to study because I was probably too much of an overachiever. So when I got to undergrad, I was like, huh? I mean, I never learned. That's scary.
So what about you? Have you had a situation where the kids had too much homework, and did you do anything about it?
I remember sitting at the table in the kitchen doing my homework while my mama was cooking, and it would take her about 45 minutes to fix supper. And I'd be doing my homework. If I had a question, she was right there. And you get through with your homework, and then you got family time then.
So it took you less than an hour?
No, I mean, it varied, I'm sure. But doing your homework and being disciplined enough to sit there and do your homework is as important as family time.
Hey, good morning, guys. You guys are having a good one.
You too.
Yeah.
The subject of homework, I mean, I've been fortunate enough. I've traveled overseas and seen different nations, and the kids, I mean, you would see children in restaurants doing homework as teens as late as 7, 8, 9 o'clock. And these are early middle school children, because it's a competition to stay in the school. So if you don't achieve or make the grade or do the work, you don't get to stay in the night of school. So I think there's probably a little different in work ethic in probably the younger generation these days, just from looking at resumes and looking for future employees. The desire to do more is a lot less. I understand there should be a nice balance between work and home life, but the competition's out there. So if you want to be the 1%er or the guy with a nice fast boat at the gas station, you're going to have to put in the extra work.
That's Chris Young, Young Love, and Saturday Nights, Kiss Country 93.7, Gary and Bristol. Okay, just imagine there for a minute. You've got a little missing boy. He's 9 years old. It's in the Brooklyn area.
Uh-oh.
All of a sudden, you've got one of these big TV station helicopters, and you're out flying around. And there you see the little boy. He's on top of the family's house, just sitting there in a chair. We actually have got some of the coverage from CBS News New York's Dan Rice talking about how he spotted the boy from the chopper while he's reporting on the story.
So as my pilot Eric Ross and I were circling around the building, we came across a person sitting in a chair over here on the rooftop. When we zoomed in with the camera, it appeared to be the child that fit the description of the missing child. Now our CBS New York News assignment desk, they called the police department. They sent officers from the 61st precinct up to the rooftop, and sure enough, they found the child sitting in the chair. They gave us the thumbs up as they went down with the child and were able to reunite him with his family just a few stories below.
Can you imagine?
Hey, wait a minute. Isn't that him?
That's the kid. That kid looks just like the kid we're looking for.
Oh, wow.
And can you imagine Mom and Dad?
He was on the roof the whole time.
He was up there on your roof.
How much was he laughing at everybody going crazy looking for him?
911, what's your emergency? It's Gary in Bristol. If you're not having fun yet, you might need someone to call 911 for you. Kiss Country 93.7.
It's Luke Combs, Ain't No Love in Oklahoma. Kiss Country 93.7, it's Gary and Bristol. Okay, it is time for our annual checkup on the roads of Shreveport, Bossier. Tomorrow morning on the show, along with those tickets for the Ray Forcier Memorial Rodeo, we're giving away with ticket trivia at 7:15. Worst pothole or bump that you know of in Shreveport, Bossier?
Oh my gosh, that's asking a lot considering how much construction we're under right now.
Well, but there's got to be that one that's like, oh my God, you better slow down before you get there or you're going to tear the bottom out from under the car. And I still contend that, there's the one on I-220 eastbound right there where you're about to cross North Market. If you're in the far left lane, right before the exit to go onto North Market, if you're in the far left lane, your head will hit the roof of your truck. I'm living proof, seen it happen. And we did this about this time last year. And that hole was there then. They still haven't fixed it. I'm thinking that we haven't chastised them enough.
On 220, there's a couple spots where they did some patchwork on top of the overpasses.
Yeah.
Where it's just breaking apart.
Yeah.
And thunk
okay.
Every time. It's enough to move your wheels.
Tomorrow morning, what's the worst? I know. There's so many that are bad. Every road here.
So many things to choose from.
But what's the worst one? The pothole or the bump? That one of these days is going to tear all the undercarriage out from under my vehicle. That's what we're going to find out. And then we're going to try to list those on the website so that hopefully we can call the attention of those who can do something about it.
To do something about it.
And we're going to say, hey, here, people have pointed out this needs attention.
Gary, we can't even get clean drinking water.
Shut up, Bristol. Okay, We'll address that tomorrow.
I'm not sure how I got here.
Thanks for making us part of your morning. Gary and Bristol on Kiss Country 93.